Today we're getting into the topic, what? Recreating your why. Reflections of Purpose. Welcome to Twisted Threads, Reflections of Purpose. My name is Karen Sims, and as always, we try to get right into the topic. We thank you so much for joining us. And as we're talking about recreating your why, we want to walk through the steps of why is it important to recreate your why. And the first point is because our why changes. So as a mom of grown children, I always think about the goals that I set when my children were younger. You know, it was kind of just make it out alive and not lose my mind. That was a real goal. But as they got older and now they're adults and they're creating lives of their own, my why is a little bit different. Now, it's still very much seeped in my family, and that's my motivator for the reason why I do things. But I had to recreate my why in the sense of what supports me as my motivation for moving forward. So the steps that you take for this is really thinking about recalibrating your current goals. What are your goals? And I'm not just talking about goals for 2019 or whatever the current year that we always do. We by now should have been past all of the resolutions. We either failed on them miserably or we're doing well with successfully getting towards the completed goal that we set for ourselves at the beginning of this year. But when we think on what are the steps that we're going to need to do to recalibrate the current goals, it means you should have wrote some down. So if you didn't get that far, there may be some homework for you to do as you go through the purpose of recreating your why. When you move forward in the recalibrating of your current goals, you may find out, okay, we're a couple of months in. I expected to lose 20 pounds by now, but looks like I lost 2 and gained 5. Sometimes setbacks come in, you know, we got birthdays and cake and all foods that come in and might mess up our goal. Perhaps, you know, the thought was, well, I'm going to get to the gym 3 times a week. And maybe you've been consistent with supporting your why. And maybe you got to the gym once a week. There has been some consistency in that area, but you want to step it up another notch. Well, now is the time for you to recreate your why and recalibrate your current goals. Why? Because now you got a realistic view of what is it going to take for you to get to the gym 3 times a week. Does that mean that you got to get up earlier? Does that mean that you need to discipline yourself? And I know that that is sometimes a bad word when it comes to us adults, because we'll do everything else. But as soon as you say discipline, oh, well, you lost me. I'm no longer interested or involved. Well, discipline is the characteristic that is required in order for us to be successful in any goal. Why? Because at some point, it's going to get hard for you. The same type of thing of you made a goal of, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. And I get there every Monday. But that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, man, look, they are killers. Why? Because I've got PTA meetings. I've got board meetings. I've got to get to the bank and do the dry cleaning and feed these people in this house. Sometimes life gets in the way as we set our goals. But our why has to be big enough that it still will remain after we remove all of the obstacles out of the way. When we think about reflecting, we've got to reflect again. We're talking about recalibrating our current goals, but it also takes, as we come on here and do our reflections of purpose, you got to give yourself some time to think about the things that you have done. What are the steps that you wanted to take and things just got in the way? Why? Because sometimes we can be our worst enemy. Why and how? We become our worst enemy if we don't discipline ourselves, because there's usually no person, as we're adults, there's not too many people in our lives that are going to come in and say, well, Karen, you promised you were going to go to the gym 3 times a week. And the one way that you can incorporate to make sure that those things happen is by you all getting accountability partners. And we talk about that here at Twisted Threads because it's important for you to have an accountability partner, maybe 1 or 2. I have several because, you know, there are certain days that I'm just all over the place. And I'm like, now, what did I say I was going to do? There are people who I support, who I check in with to make sure that they're staying accountable. I even belong to a group that we call Rave, and now we're in a month of Rave Focus. Why? Because we set our goals. We all knew what we wanted to do at the beginning of the year, and now things kind of got in the way, whether it was sickness, illness, family, money issues, you name it, tax issues. Well, those are always going to be here. But now I've got an entire group of people who we're holding each other accountable. Why? Because we all have a desire to win. And that's an important part of you recreating your why. When you're figuring out, okay, well, why do I want to do this? Well, because I want to create a legacy for my family, because I'd like to be financially stable, because I'd like to be my own boss, because I'd like to be, you know, the surveyor of my own destiny. Whatever your purpose is, that becomes a part of your why. When you think about recalibrating your personal focus towards success, nobody starts with a goal in order to lose. Nobody. Everybody sets goals because we want to do what? We want to win. And as we think about us winning, that's the time that we set the steps forward to say, how do we get to success? What is it going to take for me to be successful? What is it going to be? What is it going to take for me to be successful in my marriage? What is it going to take for me to be successful at work, in my personal relationships? Because look, it's not all about being booed up. Sometimes you got to figure out how to create healthy whys when it just comes to you having interactions with the opposite sex. You're not going to marry everybody. Everybody's not going to be your boo. But you need some people who are going to be able to assist you with setting up healthy relationships. That's important. And we'll talk more about how you do that and what are the steps you take. And the reason why it's important is because many of us don't even recognize and realize that we haven't created habits that allow us to maintain and create healthy relationships. But you got to recreate your why in that area. Why do I need a man who's in my life who might not be my boo? I've got many brothers who, oh my goodness, they are so important to my success because they remind me not only not to lose the voice, the male voice in the male position just because I don't have a husband, but I also get to understand what is the rules to success. What's the game? How does a man think? You know, it's a recent movie that came out with Taraji P. Henson. What does a man want? Well, you know, there was a lot of things that came out in that movie about what men want. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the voice of a man in your life, and the same thing for my brothers, y'all stop discrediting the voice of a sister. We are CEOs, we are bosses and queens in our own right, and you need to get yourself around folks who will be able to speak into the person that you are and connect with you right where you are just to make sure you don't lose those nuggets of wisdom. Recreating your why. Think about it. Write it down. Review what your goals are, and then recalibrate and think about the personal focus that it's going to take for you to set yourself up for success moving forward. It's not a lot that we could say about this because this is more about the homework, but I wanted to bring this topic to you so that you could think about what? Why do you need to recreate your why? I'll give you my personal account. As I said, my kids are grown. I don't have to, you know, follow them every way that they go, but I still have goals for myself. I still have personal aspirations that I want to complete for myself, and they do include other people. So sometimes your why maybe once upon a time was a child and now it's a husband. Maybe now it's a elderly parent, and you want to make sure that life is better, not just for you, but for those around you. Look, it's Twisted Threads. These are our reflections of purpose. If you've heard something that resonated with you, remember to like and share our videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm going to say that again. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Why? Because we want to get these messages to the world, but we want to make sure that you also don't miss any of the amazing messages that are coming forth. Again, you make it an amazing day. Reflections of purpose.